Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. So glad you're here. We'll get started in just a few moments, but a couple more people are joining us. And yeah, thanks for signing up for this class. We're so excited to be cooking together with you. And we've got such an amazing menu and such an amazing people here. Liz is behind the scenes, but yeah, we're really excited to be with you all. We've got about 30 households that signed up, so we'll see if everybody joins us today, but it's always an honor to be cooking with you and share your weekend with us. So can you hear us okay? Can you hear me okay? And Tracy, will you say something just to wait for your mic?
Hi, everyone. Looking forward to cooking with you.
That's my Zoom background. You like it?
Okay. I'm just gonna mute for a moment. Okay, good. All right. Well, I think we'll have a few more folks join us. But yeah, we're just so excited to have you today. And we're gonna be cooking up a storm. And I'm just gonna adjust a couple of things here. Liz, this is for you. Okay. Well, welcome. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Sarah Buckman. I work here at Common Ground with my coworker Liz Sands. Liz, you might have met when you picked up your kit yesterday. And we're so happy to have Traci Barkley here.
Happy to be here.
Traci works at as the director at Sola Gratia Farm, and yeah, we're going to be doing an amazing summer harvest meal using hyper local ingredients from Sola. This is the third year that we've done a class like this to benefit Sola Gratia, and we check in with Traci and John Williams, the farm manager at Sola. In the summertime, we're like, okay, what do you think you'll have for August? And we build a whole menu based on what they have coming out of the field. And so it's a super hyper local menu tonight. I think, Liz, you said that the only produce that isn't coming from Sola are the lemons. So
yeah, we can't do this.
That's pretty amazing. So for those of you that haven't taken a class with us before, we want to make this as interactive as possible. So please comment in the chat whenever you have questions. We'll be monitoring that. We will be walking through each of the steps and guiding you through all of the recipes. So at any point you have questions or want to add to the conversation, we definitely invite you to chime in. We do have recipe cards here. So if you need references, I'll be good and I'll refer to the recipe cards, but at any point you need to check, feel free to look at your handy dandy recipes. So yeah, I think let us know. I know I recognize a lot of names, but are there any folks that are taking a class with us for the first time? We want to welcome you and thank you. A special thank you to all of those that have taken classes with us over the years. We're glad to have you back, and it's always a precious thing to share the weekend with you. So yeah, we do different classes through the co-op. We usually do a virtual class every month. We also do in-person classes. So we'll keep you posted on those. But yeah, I think before we start, Traci, would you mind saying a little bit about Sola Gratia for those that don't know about it?
Sure, my pleasure. So I'm the director of Sola Gratia Farm. We are a hyper-local vegetable farm. We're on Philo Road in Southeast Urbana. We were started 12 years ago by St. Matthew Lutheran Church and Faith in Place to address food insecurity in our community, to make sure that if you have limited means, you can still eat well. So we donate about a third of everything we grow into the community, and we grow 50 different vegetables, 125 different varieties. We follow organic practices, and we're now expanding into fruits, perennial fruits, and nuts. So more to come. And then we also sell at the market. So it's Saturday. Some of you might have already been by the Sola stand this morning. If you did, thank you. We also had a fall plant sale yesterday and today out at the farm. So maybe you interact with Sola in that way. We also had a fall gardening workshop on Thursday in our community classroom. So if any of you were there, thank you for participating in that. That was our first educational workshop in the new community classroom. And then we also had a volunteer work day this morning on the farm. So there's like lots going on in lots of ways. We really are a true community farm and welcome you to, grow with us and shop with us and learn from us and serve your community with us. And there's a lot of ways to engage. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here again with Liz and Sarah cooking, showcasing the best of what this part of the season has to offer. So we're gonna be working with eggplant and tomatoes and basil and what else? Onions and
garlic,
kale, of course, red peppers. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this time with you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the menu, and then we'll go into kind of what we're gonna be making today and what you'll need tools wise or equipment wise. We're gonna keep it as minimal as possible, and we'll make modifications wherever is needed. So if you don't have a certain immersion blender or a food processor, there's easy modifications that we can do for this. Okay, so Liz and I built the menu for today's class. We have a bunch of different things that we're making today. So I'll start with introducing the roasted garlic kale Caesar salad. This was a recipe that we modified from a delicious kale Caesar salad that one of the farmers at Blue Moon Farm, which was an Urbana organic farm, they're amazing. Lorian and Shay taught me this kale Caesar salad. So in honor of them, we are putting this recipe together. And so it's going to basically be a really delicious garlicky dressing with massaged kale and sliced peppers and toasted croutons. So that will be the first recipe. And then eggplant rollatini. This was something I made in classes several years ago, and it was really popular, and it's a great way to showcase eggplant. So what we'll be doing is we'll be slicing and roasting our eggplant and then rolling them up with a little bit of stuffed ricotta. And then we'll make a really delicious, really sweet cherry tomato sauce. And then that will all go baked in the oven with a little bit of Parmesan, and it'll be absolutely tasty. And then lastly, the pesto babka buns. So babka is usually like a sweet, chocolatey, sometimes cinnamon, sugar rolls. We're going to be doing a savory version of that with our co-op pesto. They make a really delicious spinach basil pesto. So our bakery was really sweet, and they in our kitchen made up some pesto for you guys for the rolls, and also they made us fresh pizza dough. So this pizza dough can be adapted into dinner rolls or a lot of different dough needs. But we're going to be using fresh dough from our bakery. So yeah, I think, yeah, I'm really excited. So we'll have a little bit of cherry tomato sauce left over that we can kind of dip the rolls into, but overall, it will all come together within a couple hours. And, of course, as questions arise, please let us know. But yeah, we're excited to cook with you. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prep our eggplant. So I've got a cutting board. I've got a knife that I'm really comfortable with. Use whatever knives you're most comfortable with. In terms of equipment that we'll need today, we're going to need a small saucepan with a lid on it for our cherry tomato marinara. We'll need a skillet, kind of a wider set skillet. This is what we're going to use for toasting our croutons. Ideally, you'll need a grater. So, I'm using a box grater, but you can use whatever type of grater that you have. Ideally, I'm really interested in using the finer side of the grater. That will really help with grating our Parmesan. We'll need a couple bowls, one for the ricotta, one bigger bowl to really massage the kale and give us more room for the salad. And then we gave you some parchment paper and aluminum foil. So those will come in handy when we're roasting our eggplant. So we've got 2 sheet trays. And then lastly, you know, we've got some citrus squeezers and things like that, but a lot of things can just be modified by hand. I do have a larger bowl that I'll use for making the dressing. I guess a quick question before we start is, if there are any folks that don't have a food processor or immersion blender, that is totally okay. As we go along, whenever I am working on a dish that might need a blender, I will throw out modifications. We will be using the immersion blender for the dressing. It's not actually needed. A whisk would be just fine. But it really helps emulsify the oil into the dressing. And then the other time that we're using the immersion blender is for our cherry tomato marinara. We're doing a really quick way of making this marinara sauce, and it's absolutely delicious. But are there any folks that don't have a food processor immersion blender? Because you'll just have to chop up your tomatoes instead of throwing them in whole. So those are the quick modifications. Okay, so let's get you busy and then we can talk more about Sola Gratia. And if there's ever questions that you want to throw out to us or Traci, she's you're amazing, and you know she's such a leader in our community, and she's, you know, tied to a lot of different local food projects all over town here.
So sweet.
And
Thank
so
you.
this is the perfect time as we're cooking to shout out any questions or any tips that you even have for cooking either marinara sauce or using eggplant. So we love to learn from you too. So let us know. So okay, I think we'll get started with washing our eggplant. Most of you got 2 eggplants. There was a couple of you that got 3, and they were just a little bit smaller. So we're gonna just wash our eggplants, and then we're gonna need probably 1 or 2 of our sheet trays. Okay. And feel free to spread out with however much space you have. I know having a computer in the kitchen isn't always ideal, but thanks for hanging in with us. Also, before we start slicing any eggplant, please preheat your oven to 400. This is going to be we're not going to have to actually change the oven temperature at all. It's going to be able to bake our bread and our eggplant and all the things. So just preheat your oven to 400. That way, we're actually going to need it soon for roasting our garlic, but we'll get there in a minute. Okay, so I'll just show you how I slice eggplant, and then we'll do, if you want to, you feel like slicing eggplant too?
Sure.
Trace?
Sure.
Okay.
Work.
All right. Which knife are you most comfy with? You go with that one? Great.
Yep.
Great. Okay. So what we're gonna do is first get a comfy knife and just chop off the stem part of the eggplant. Okay. And then what's interesting about this rollatini recipe is ideally what we want to do is we want to try and thinly slice the eggplant as much as possible. But the first step that we're going to do is just slice off the skin on both on one side of the eggplant, just as much thin skin as you can get off. And then opposite of your slice, do it on the other side. Because what we notice is when we roast the eggplant, we kind of want some of that skin off of there. So, okay, so we have 2 thin slices of that skin, and this is what the eggplant looks like, okay? All right, so following one of those slices, slice as thin as possible. And I position the cut stem part against flush with the cutting board. That way it's as stable as possible. And just carefully use your knife and slice lengthwise about, like, I would say 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch, whatever is comfortable with your knife, okay? And these long strips will be really great. We'll salt them and salt them on the sheet tray. And then they'll kind of wick some of that moisture, and then we'll basically put them in the oven. So when you get to this part where it's like becomes too hard to hold it up, you're just gonna have to put it on its side and keep slicing. Ideally, you want them to be about the same length as the rest of them. So if you have like this one is a bit chunky at the bottom here, we're just gonna try and slice it one more time, and that should be good. Okay.
Party foul.
Oh, that's okay. So one of the things I would do is you can, whatever is easiest, you can also set your eggplant slice down and then, yeah, there you go.
It can be a
Okay.
little tricky. If
Sorry,
you had
guys.
A mandolin or something.
You
that
might
would be
have-
really.
Yeah,
It's okay.
You might have
okay.
some failures here.
Here, I'll show one more.
If the filling comes out a little bit, it'll still be delicious.
So if your one slice is a little too chunky, just set it
Oh,
down,
right.
and then we'll start from the bottom and just try and slice as much as you can, but
We'll,
it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
we'll do some mini rules.
Yeah. Okay, so if you notice that some of your slices are a lot thinner, they're just gonna cook a lot quicker. So they might not take the full 20 minutes in the oven. So we'll just keep an eye on some of the eggplants when we do put them in the oven. So the process for the eggplant right now is then we're going to put the slices on the sheet tray, however they fit. They don't have to be pretty. And then we're going to salt both sides. So it looks like both eggplants are taking about 2 sheet trays. And so we've got a little salt here for you.
What this does is it really helps with the moisture. I learned this a couple years ago. Eggplant can get kind of soggy when you cook it, especially if you're adding sauce or fillings. So this just kind of, the salt will sort of remove any excess moisture, and then you'll dab it with paper towels and just get it as dry as possible.
So I'm just using pinched salt with the salt container that we gave you, and just pinching some salt over it, and then rotating, flipping the eggplant and just pinching more salt on both sides. And we'll notice that it will start to sweat out some liquid, which is good. I don't always do this there we go. I don't always do this. Sometimes I just slice them and cook them. There's a lot of cultural ties to how you prepare eggplant. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Okay.
I think the salt kind of counters the bitterness of eggplant too.
Yes, right. Yeah, it can draw out some of the bitter liquids. Okay, so we're just going to set these aside for 10 minutes. We did put parchment down on the sheet tray. And we'll just let those sit for about 10 minutes, okay?
We'll be keeping track of all of the timers today, so we'll let you know.
Yeah. Sometimes our oven, I'm sure a lot of you already know this for anybody that's joined, but we have a small, tiny convection oven, and it's mighty, but it's
but
sometimes
mighty.
too mighty. So it might outpace some other ovens. Okay, so our next step, how is everybody doing? Is anybody still working on their eggplant? Because I can still talk about what we're gonna do next. Make sure everybody's on track. But we're gonna next roast our garlic. And what's interesting about this is I learned this from Shay and Lorian at Blue Moon. When they were coming for a sample at the co-op, it was garlic season. and it was they really wanted to showcase the garlic, because this is some of the best garlic you'll get. This is, you know, so fresh that you could technically plant it for next season, and so
Sticky.
any
So
gardeners.
fresh, it's sticky.
Yes, yes. Okay, still slicing, no worry. So basically this is like one of the easiest parts that we're gonna do, which is we're going to try to chop the top part of the garlic. It might be a little hard with how fresh these are, but what we want to do is basically slice the clove head, like slice the top of the clove head. We're going to try and keep it all whole, but just open it up a little bit. Does that make sense? So slice the top of the garlic head as much as you can. If that becomes too difficult because of that main stem, it is a little bit firm, you can slice it just straight down the middle, widthwise. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our aluminum foil, and there's a couple
Smells
different ways
so
that you can
good.
do. I know it does. They look so fresh. What I like to do is I like to separate the aluminum foil in half, 2 pieces of aluminum foil, and we're gonna basically cradle each garlic head in a slice of aluminum foil. And before we close it up, we're gonna put a little bit of olive oil drizzled on the seam of where we cut, and that will kind of just give it a little bit more flavor. This is the technique that Lorian taught me. So I'm going to use a little spoon here and drizzle a little olive oil just on that cut part of the garlic head. Let me know if people need a little more time.
That's good olive oil too.
It's really good olive oil.
Green. It's nice.
We had someone at last class reach out after the class and was like, hey, was the olive oil infused with anything? Because it was just so floral.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's just
good stuff.
it's just our field day olive oil. So we're so spoiled here at the co-op. It's so nice. Such a nice thing to have a full amazing grocery store at our disposal.
That one person's still slicing, they had a problem with students, they're a little bit behind.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, with slicing the eggplant, slice as thin as you can, and then salt both sides. Set those eggplant slices onto the sheet trays with a parchment paper, and we're just gonna let that sit for 10 minutes. And then the next step that we did was we sliced the heads off of we sliced actually the topmost part of our garlic heads, and we poured a little olive oil on them, and now we're wrapping them individually in a little aluminum foil. And then let's see, some people add salt, but we're not doing salt. We're gonna add enough of our salt in the
Happy to show again how to do the garlic.
yeah.
We actually have an extra, so I'll grab one.
Yeah. So I've got one here. We can just use this one.
Yeah.
So we'll do a close up. So you've got your garlic head here, and you've got the root side, and then you've got the stem side. So this is where your garlic scapes come out of. So you've got your roots here. And if they're too long, meaning like they're so fresh that you still see roots, which is kind of amazing. What you're gonna really do with your knife is you're going to cut this top part, this little piece off. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. And you might just have to be as careful as possible, but I'm just gonna chop this off. And what this is gonna do is it will cut this piece off, and you can just discard this. So this is really what you want. And what this will do is, wrapped up in aluminum foil with a little olive oil just on this seam here, it will allow it to really steam, and the garlic will actually we'll be able to squish out this like garlic, all the garlic cloves will be so squishy by the end after
like a
roasting them.
paste.
It's like a paste. We'll
Yeah.
just squeeze them out. So that's the step. Okay. All right. So we're doing 2 garlic heads. We gave you 3 garlic heads, but we only need to do 2. Okay. So this is the garlic that we're going to be using for our salad dressing. Okay. So I put a little olive oil on the top where I cut on the garlic, and then I just scrunched them up in aluminum foil, and we'll just place them in the oven. Okay.
For 30 minutes.
Oh, for 30 minutes. But Liz you'll start to smell it, but we'll give you a heads up on that. So
Okay, and if you want fresh garlic next season, you can go to the market and buy any of the bulbs from Sola and plant them in late September or early October, and you'll have fresh garlic next year.
it's amazing.
There's still time to plant.
Yes, I need to do that. And then you get garlic scapes during like the springtime, and then you
Yes.
can snap those off and use those like garlic. Okay, so we did our eggplant, we did our sliced eggplant. Let's take a look at them. They're getting a little wet. That's good. Okay, and we got our garlic in. Okay, next step is we're going to blot our eggplant.
So about like 2.5 minutes, maybe just let everybody touch up a little bit.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Sit for just a little bit
Cool.
longer.
Yeah. We don't want to rush yet. How is everybody doing so far? Anybody lost? Let us know. Traci, I'm so excited about the classroom. We haven't gone out to the new space yet, and I'm so excited to see it. I've gotta
It's
come to our
really
class.
coming together. We wanted to get, so we have 4 acres that was in production, and now we're converting it to be an educational demonstration space. So we have raised beds that were just planted as part of this workshop on Thursday.
That's amazing.
We have beds planted in the ground. So we have sweet potatoes and collard greens, lots of melons, peppers, tomatoes, of course,
Oh,
cucumbers and beans. And then we built this really large tunnel for loofah gourds, and they are taking over.
I
So
bet.
so you should come out
Okay.
to Sola on Philo Road and check out. We also are growing a mini tunnel and cucamelons. And so I'd never had a cucamelon before, but they look like these tiny little watermelons, and they taste like tangy cucumbers. They're so
Oh, interesting. Are
so
they like a Mexican variety? I've
Yeah.
seen. Okay, cool.
yeah. So
Amazing.
it's like come out and visit. We have open
Okay.
hours every Monday from 4 to 6, and you can come and check it out and learn more
Cool.
about what's coming up, and also volunteer if you want.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, they did, Sola just expanded to, what was it, 20,
We got 29 acres.
29 more acres. So
Yes.
anybody wants to go out to the new site with me, let me know. Okay, so, we're going to check back on our eggplant. We're gonna use like a paper towel to blot some of the liquid. And we're gonna just look at our eggplant. So they're doing so good. You might see that they've started to oxidize a little bit and turn a little bit brown, and that's totally fine. So we'll just use a little paper towel. Again, you don't have to do this, but this is just a technique.
Actually, garlic be in the oven already.
So yeah, we put our 2 bundles, 2 garlic heads in the oven. So feel free, even if your oven is not fully preheated, feel free to put your garlic cloves or garlic heads bundled up in aluminum foil in the oven. And we'll check in on it around 25-30 minutes. But it's some of the best garlic, and it's really nice to just roast it that way. Okay, so we blotted our eggplant
Do we flip them over?
and flip them over and just blot. This will take some of that bitterness out, but I don't think Sola's has bitter eggplant, in my opinion.
It's been a good year for eggplant.
Yeah, they need that sun and
The heat, lots of
Yes,
heat.
yes. Okay, so another thing, so depending, you know, analyze your eggplant slices. You know, if some of your eggplants are a lot thinner than or a lot thicker, they might take a little bit longer or shorter in the oven. So we'll just keep our noses and our eyes open for checking our eggplant as it cooks. We really want to not fully cook it, fully cook the eggplant slices, because we're gonna actually cook it again once we stuff it with ricotta and place the tomato sauce on top of it. So we don't want it to burn. So that's the only thing that I want to keep an eye out. So we'd rather have it a little bit flimsy or a little firm rather than burnt. Okay. So let's see, what else do we need to do? It looks like we're not even putting any oil or anything on them. They'll get plenty of oil later on with the sauce. Oh, did we drizzle? Okay, well, if you're feeling up for it, why don't we take a little drizzle on the eggplant? I know I said we don't have to, but you know,
It can't hurt.
it can't hurt. And it might actually help with sealing in some of the moisture too. So I'm just using a little bit of a spoon on here, and I'm just gently drizzling some eggplant. And then one tip that we can do is just to sop up some of the eggplant is just use the backs of the eggplant or the bottom side of the eggplant and just kind of stack them on to get some of that oil on there. Okay, so we'll oil both sides. Why not? Let's do it. And then we gave you a lot of olive oil, so we should be good. We'll have plenty of olive oil for this class. I think we gave you a cup. Is that right, Liz?
3/4.
Okay, 3/4. Okay, so again, just stacking the eggplants so that we distribute the oil. Doesn't have to be a lot of oil, just a little.
I was just telling someone today about making eggplant bacon, which is
Oh.
very similar to this.
Yes.
Long slices, massaged with oil and lots of good flavors.
Yeah, and my roommate used to make that and add a little bit of like liquid smoke.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it
and smoked paprika.
ooh,
It's delicious.
oh yeah. Eggplant is so underrated. That's why I love showing it. It's on we're basically kind of making something really similar to like a lasagna, but using amazing eggplant. Okay, so we are ready for this eggplant to just go in our oven. So if your bundles of garlic are in the oven, we might just stack them on one of the sheet trays so they don't get lost in the fray. And we'll just put our 2 sheet trays of our eggplant right in there. So let me. It does. It really does. So I'm just placing my garlic on one of the sheet trays just so I can watch it. And we said like 20 minutes for the eggplant, but if yours are thin, we might have to check in on them a lot sooner, like even like
mine.
5 or 7 minutes. So
Mine are a lot better than yours. I think.
it's all good. It's all good. It's going to be extra tasty, and we're now going to have extra rollatini rolls. So that's perfect. Okay, everybody doing good? I think, oh, now we're on to making the cherry tomato sauce. So again, for anybody that doesn't have a food processor or immersion blender, you'll have to chop up your cherry tomatoes a little bit. If you're looking for kind of a thinner, less chunky sauce. But for those that have a food processor, or a immersion blender, or a regular blender, yeah. I've had this immersion blender for, I think I think I was a senior in high school. So this is the same one, and it cost me like $20, and it's still going. It's getting a little noisier now, but the engine is still working. So this immersion blender is something I use instead of a regular blender. It's great for cooking something that's hot, or great for
Soup.
blending soups,
Yeah.
sauces. I even will be using it for our dressing, and we'll just be using like a mason jar or a larger container. And instead of, I even use a mason jar, an immersion blender when making smoothies. And so it's like no cleanup, you're going straight into the container that you need. So I'm a proponent for getting an immersion blender. Okay, so this sauce is so simple. We are going to be dicing our red onion. And then we're going to be chopping up some garlic. We're going to do a saute of that onion and garlic. And then we're going to throw in our cherry tomatoes whole and put the lid on and let them steam, and they'll kind of burst apart and start to make their own sauce. Liz taught me this recipe and it was so good. And so simple. So there's no need for a lot of chopping. So, and Traci, you said that you roast your tomatoes. Do you do them whole?
I've gotten very lazy in the kitchen, and I've just been putting pans of tomatoes, if they're plum aromas, just whole,
Yeah.
or if they're slicers, I cut them in half and I just roast them and
Yeah.
let them cool. Add in roasted peppers, garlic, and that immersion blender. And I'm super stingy on, I have a small kitchen
Yes.
and I don't have room for many appliances, but the immersion blender is like
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah. And it's so small. It could sit into a drawer or anything. Okay. Can we just admire this red onion right now? Like, when have you seen the root system of an onion the last year? I
We
mean,
had a good
that's
onion year.
amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be dicing up our red onion. You know, there's always so many different ways of chopping onions.
I know, I'm gonna watch you do yours.
You know,
Lots to
it
learn.
is, and no one should feel like ashamed about chopping an onion a different way. Like, it is what it is. Like, we all get the job done as long as you're safe. As long as your fingers are safe, that's good. I'm just gonna get rid of this pop-up.
Just a quick note, the recipe does say half an onion. We had some bigger ones when we were testing this. These are a little smaller than what we did, so we're gonna use the whole onion.
Okay.
But this is a good, so if it's, sometimes you get onions that are like twice this size. If you really like onion, you could do the whole thing, but this is a perfect size.
So we've got the root side and the stem side. I'm just gonna slice as little as I can off the stem side. And then I just chop straight down the middle, lengthwise, with the roots and all. And I noticed that it actually, it holds everything together when you keep the roots on there. So I'm just gonna peel the skins off on both halves of the onion. And we might cry a little together. Red onions are
That'd be
so
okay.
much more potent
They always
than
get-
yellow or white. So we might cry a little today.
Seriously,
And
when you're
that's
working with
okay.
a fresh onion, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's intense.
they really get me. Even with, there's so many tricks people have for how to prevent it from making you cry so much, but they never work for me.
Actually, what you're doing is what I've been taught, of leaving the roots on.
Uh-huh.
Because I think it's when you cut next to the roots that most of that is
Yes.
supposed to be released.
Yeah, there's a technique of, yeah, that's true. They think, I've heard that too. And I've also heard of like rinsing your onion. So, okay. So we're just going for like a smaller dice. If you like to do your onion really, really fine, feel free to do that. What I like to do when I cut an onion is, the onion is showing you how it wants to be cut. See these striations, these ridges? This is where you want to put your blade. So from root to stem, we're just going to follow some of these stripes, these natural lines in the onion.
I can already feel it.
Even with glasses.
Yeah, no, the glasses don't do anything.
So we're just going to do, and then we rotate it 90 degrees after cutting it and get ready to cry. Just kidding. Only happy tears when we're cooking with Sola Gratia. It's food. Okay.
Oh, that's a good technique. Yeah.
Okay, so again, we're going with the striations. It's showing us where we want to cut. Oop, and sometimes it won't stay together. Okay. Yeah, so we're just dicing. We're just dicing a red onion. That's all we're doing. Oh yeah,
Red
Beautiful.
onions and red cabbage
there
are
we
so
go. Oh,
beautiful.
they are. Red cabbage. Nothing's more beautiful. All right. Poor Liz is our
Okay.
the sacrifices you're making for our camera. Okay, so next is our garlic. So we have one other garlic left. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've also heard, okay, so my dad is like the cutest and he was like learning how to cook. Well, he thought of himself as a really great cook, but he had a lot of learning to do and he would wear he's a big swimmer, so he would wear swimming goggles when he was first really cooking a lot, and it was great to see. So get
I've
your
seen those like specific ones that are marketed as onion goggles, but they're just regular goggles.
They're like chemistry lab class goggles.
yes, yes. So we're just gonna mince up the whole head of garlic. We said 3 cloves, but our clove had 4 huge ones, so
Oh,
we're just gonna do that. And you know, you can smash it. You can smash each garlic clove. These might just be a little bit stickier in terms of getting the skins off, and that is just because they're so fresh. But there's a cool they're cured. They're after they've harvested, you cure them like in the greenhouse for how a couple weeks, or how long do you
So what you need is heat and airflow to
Mm.
create the papery husk on the outside. So we have huge fans and no sun. So we make sure that they're
Oh,
covered and we're getting good airflow, good heat, and then the paper layers start drying out. And then that's what's if you're at market and we tell you it's fresh garlic or fresh onions versus cured onions or storage garlic, that's the difference. And
Okay.
so if it's fresh, it needs to go in the fridge. And if it's cured or storage, then you can sit it out in your kitchen in a dark place.
I love that.
So until you see the little green sprout coming out next spring, it's good to go.
Cool. Okay, so we just took the skins off of the garlic cloves, and now we're just gonna mince them all up. So I like to, again, like slice them lengthwise, a little rough. And oh gosh, is your hands gonna smell like garlic today? But another trick that you can do is when you're washing your hands, you can rub your finger once you're done for the day, you can rub your fingers or wash your fingers with your knife and just rub your hands on any of that metal, and that will help draw out some of that garlic. Okay, so we're just gonna mince. You will need a saucepan with a lid on it. The lid is going to be really important because that's going to allow it to steam. Everybody doing okay? So we did our full red onion diced, and then we're just mincing that third garlic head that we gave you. And it doesn't have to be really finely minced. We are going to blend it up. And I personally really like chunky garlic. So however you like to modify any recipes, you let me know.
Cindy says the onion really has me crying. Me
Oh,
too.
Cindy!
They're super fresh. We're gonna get through it.
I'm feeling for you, Cindy.
The mark of freshness.
Yes. Just also note, wash your hands in between transferring the garlic if you want, because just so you don't accidentally rub your eye. Learn the hard way on that. Okay. So what we're
I'm gonna check on our eggplant just because our oven is a little crazy.
Yeah,
So
let's do that. We'll show you what it looks like. I think they might be done.
our oven is really fast, so yours might not be done yet.
Ooh, that looks good.
Okay, yeah,
Ours
it's
are good.
ready.
It's cool how that purple goes to brown
Yeah,
so quickly.
yeah.
Lay down the blue,
They can just sit on these. This countertop is heat safe.
So it's only been, can everyone hear me when I talk? I don't have a microphone. I'll just kind of, it's only been about 10 minutes. So ours are done. If you want to show them again what they look like, but if yours aren't there yet, we're going to wait a little bit before we move on with them.
Okay.
The garlic still has 10 minutes. So we're putting that up.
Okay. So we're taking our eggplant out. The way we know it's ready is because it's started to get, it's tender to touch. It still has that a little bit firmer texture, but you kind of, it's sweated out. You can see some of the seeds in the eggplant. So yeah, ours is done. So maybe check your eggplant, see if it's done yet. It
But
might not be.
we are leaving the garlic in the oven. It still has about 10 more minutes.
Okay. We can hold it like that. They'll give more of a view. Okay. So next step is we're going to basically saute our onion and garlic in our saucepan. And once the garlic and onion have been cooked to our liking, you know, they've started to lose some of they're starting to soften up. We'll add our cherry tomatoes in whole. So we'll be putting in about, let's see, 2 tablespoons of olive oil into our saucepan. You will also eventually need that butter. That's my secret ingredient for tomato sauces.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, butter, having butter, honestly, there's recipes that you could add a whole stick of butter and simmer it and simmer it and simmer it with like rosemary or other things like that. So that is another, if you're ever feeling like you really want to use up butter, so make a marinara.
Not really.
Okay, so we're just gonna saute our red onion. I always put the onion in first before the garlic because it's always a little bit bigger. And I just noticed that sometimes the garlic tends to stick to the pan and burn. Trace,
Yeah.
will you pass me that wooden spoon? Thanks. So we're just going to, Liz is getting all the onion in her face.
Okay, now it just smells so good.
So we want to be sauteing this on high heat. So we're just sauteing our red onion. You're gonna notice the color. It's okay. You're getting the full immersive video footage here.
For the experience.
Yes. So you'll notice that the color in the red onion will start to dissipate and start to become like a darker or a lighter color. So we want to basically just soften these onions up a little bit.
We had a question, should the dough be out of the fridge at this point? Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, if you don't mind, please setting out your dough. It will just be good to let it warm up a bit. So it'll be a little bit more manageable. So you can set it, if it's been in the fridge, you can set it closer to the warmer area of your kitchen, like maybe near your stove. And now allow it to warm up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to add our garlic, all of it.
I'm getting so hungry.
Oh my
This
gosh,
sounds so
good. I know my stomach is like,
As
I'm
soon as you
hungry.
said that I was getting the onions, it's like, no, I just smell them and I'm hungry. We're
Okay,
getting there.
so we added all of the garlic into our onions and we're just making sure that it, if you hold it, if you can hold it like this, it will give them more of a view. There you go. I know it's a little hard for text. Okay, so ours is kind of coming together pretty quick. I'm gonna reduce the temperature a little bit because I think that
It's been a couple more minutes, so maybe go ahead and check on your eggplant. If it's still in the oven, just kind of take a peek at it, see how it's doing. Technically, we still have 6 minutes, but it'll just kind of depend on your oven and the size of the eggplant that you sliced.
Yeah. So our garlic, we were doing it at a pretty high heat sauteing, and so our garlic and onion was starting to stick a little bit, so I added just a little bit more olive oil. So that's doing good. Okay. And then the next thing, Trace, if you wouldn't mind just rinsing our cherry tomatoes. Sometimes I just rinse them in the actual cardboard and use that as a sieve. So we'll rinse our cherry tomatoes and then we're gonna just plop them in. So let's see.
Both pints?
Yeah.
Both
Yep.
pints. So all that we put in is a couple tablespoons of olive oil, our whole diced red onion, our whole head of garlic that was minced, and now we have our amazing cherry tomatoes. Those are gonna go straight in, okay? So before you put the lid on the cherry tomatoes, what we want to do is kind of lift up some of the onion and garlic that are on the bottom. And just, this will help disperse some of the temperature because the tomatoes are still room temperature, whereas the garlic and onion are pretty hot. So we're just stirring these together and then we'll just pop the lid on them once they're stirred up. And this will allow it to, and I know this looks a little weird. It was against what I was initially thinking, like, oh, something's gonna burn, something's gonna burn. But I swear to you, these start to burst and that liquid will ooze out and it will become a sauce so quickly. So we mixed it up, we put our lid on, and now we just let it simmer lidded.
About 10 minutes, but we'll check on them. Heather's asking both containers of cherry tomatoes. Yeah, we're doing both pints.
Both pints.
Dump them all in there.
Yep. And you still want like a medium heat on that, on your, for your tomato sauce. Okay. So, at any point you feel like, oh, I want to check on them, feel free to follow your intuition and stir the bottom, check for if there is any, burning of the onion or garlic, but you'll notice that there becomes a lot of moisture, that builds up with these cherry tomatoes. They've got a lot of water in them.
Cynthia's asking, is the heat on high? You have it on medium, is that correct?
Yeah, I have it on like medium high. And what we'll want is, we'll want enough heat so that they will, the cherry tomatoes will start to burst. They'll like swell and start to burst. And then we'll probably keep it on like a medium high, so that it's constantly simmering. And we'll get rid of some of that moisture. We'll kind of simmer off some of the moisture and in the sauce, and we'll add some of our seasonings once the cherry tomatoes start to burst. Okay. How's everybody doing? Where are you at? Let me know what steps you're at. Let me know if you're needing any more time, because we're gonna start working on the filling for the rollatinis, which is a eggplant mixture. Everybody doing good? Or are you so busy you can't type?
Just about to put the tomatoes in. That's perfect.
Cool. So yeah, just plop those tomatoes right into that pan. Even if your onions and garlic aren't fully cooked, that's totally fine. There's gonna be plenty of time for them to cook. Feel free to just wash. We just rinsed our cherry tomatoes and just plopped them in whole, both pints.
We've got about, just a little check-in, we've got about 1.5 minutes left for the 20-minute mark for the eggplants. Maybe go ahead and check
Yeah,
before we get started on this. And then we've still got about 7 minutes on the garlic, so we'll keep you posted.
cool. And how are you doing on time?
Almost 4, I think.
Okay. Okay. So the next step that we're gonna do is we're gonna make the filling for our rollatini. So Trace, I will have you do that. So what we'll need for the filling for the rollatini is the ricotta. We'll need Parmesan, which I have right here. We'll need, let's see, egg. Perfect. We'll need some basil.
Fresh basil?
Fresh basil. Actually, I'm looking at the ingredients and we used all of the garlic actually in our sauce. I'm sorry about that, but the filling doesn't need to have garlic. It's okay. So
Filling in the same place.
It
so
is going.
There's garlic, there's plenty.
Garlic from everywhere.
so thanks for sorry, that was my mix up. But so we'll do we'll get a small bowl, like we've got the small bowl here. We'll put our ricotta in. So that's the timer to check your eggplant. I'm assuming, I would say now's the time to take your eggplant out. Okay. So we're gonna do our ricotta.
All of it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so this is a cup. We measured it out for you. Gonna come together side.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, we've got your ricotta. Let's see. Ricotta, you can crack your egg. We're gonna do salt and pepper.
And these are local eggs. Which farm did we do for these? Allison Centennial?
Yeah. Actually, these are a Little Farm on the Prairie.
Okay.
Okay, and then what is the salt? Quarter teaspoon of salt. So that's like a generous pinch. We have half a teaspoon of black pepper. So we gave you more pepper for other recipes. So just maybe like a quarter of what we've given you on black pepper. And then I'm gonna have to grate up some Parmesan.
It's a quarter cup.
Well, somebody pass me that box grater. So I'm gonna use the finer. Sorry, that pepper.
Yep, got me a little bit.
So I'm gonna actually grate up all the Parmesan. And I use the finer side because I just noticed that it melts a lot better and it incorporates better into our ricotta mixture than having these big chunks. So the finer side is always ideal.
We're gonna use about half a cup in the mixture and then we're gonna use the rest on top of the eggplant.
So we're kind of generous with our Parmesan, so this is more than we need probably, but well, you
Can't hurt.
never have enough Parmesan. So we have a quarter cup here, but that's really just like a couple handfuls of parm that we'll just slide into our ricotta mixture. And then,
Half a cup, please.
oh, we want a half cup? I'm sorry. So sorry, we need a half cup, so about 4 pinches of parm. And it's so good. We've grated a lot of the rest of the parm. So I'm just gonna put it on a plate because we'll need it for later. Okay, what else do we need to do?
Basil.
Basil.
This beautiful basil. I know when everybody came yesterday to pick these up, everyone said how good it smelled in here and it was all those bunches of basil.
Yeah. All right. So everybody should be taking their eggplant out if it's not out already. And we probably should be checking on our garlic soon.
Yeah, a couple minutes.
I think our oven might be. I'm assuming our oven is a little quick on everything, so I'm gonna take our garlic out really quick. And let's see, where's our tongs? There's our tongs.
You just want this minced?
Yes.
So I'm taking our garlic out.
3 tablespoons chopped. So we'll use most of we're gonna do about 3 tablespoons of basil. Just save a couple of the prettiest leaves as a garnish for the top of the egg dish.
And we're gonna need some leaves for our tomato sauce too. So probably, what did we say? Fresh basil leaves for, actually, this is for, yeah, we want like 3 tablespoons of fresh basil chopped.
So we took our garlic out. Technically, we have a couple of minutes up until that 30 point, but you could probably go ahead and just take them all out.
Yeah. And we'll let them just sit out in their aluminum foil, cool down a little bit. Because we'll have to handle them in a little bit. But you're gonna keep your oven on because we're still gonna need to put our eggplant back in the oven, so.
Did you hand me my phone? I have the timers on.
Mhm.
Are you good with me chopping?
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody doing good? I'm checking our tomatoes. I'm just gonna give them a stir, but they have not burned. None of the onions have burned at all. They're starting to get a little bit more withered. So that's good. Oh, and it smells good. Beautiful, Traci.
So how's everybody doing? We had the eggplant, the egg, salt and pepper, and Parmesan in this bowl, and we're gonna add the basil.
Yeah, so we're doing probably like, I would say 1/3 of your bunch. We've picked off the leaves and you're just chopping them up. And that will be the ricotta mixture.
So we want the garlic to cool a little bit before we put it in the salad. So if you can handle it, opening the foil might help cool it down a little bit.
Yeah,
It's gonna be really hot though.
they're steamy.
All right.
So if we just can open them up a little, it might help with.
I think you put them all, put it
Yeah,
all
that's
in.
what I was thinking.
You can adapt any of these recipes with whatever measurements you like. Oh my gosh, this garlic, I can't wait to show you. Has anybody done this before? So this,
That's the best.
it is literally completely soft. It is like caramel. So, we're just gonna open these up. We're not using them yet because we're not making the dressing yet, but feel free to open up these presents. They're really great. Oh yeah, wow. Gooey, gooey, gooey. All right. Yeah, if anybody's not done this before, I'm so excited for you to experience this.
So my timer went off 10 minutes for the tomatoes, but we're really just waiting for them to start to burst. So we'll take a peek.
And they are starting a little bit. So there's a lot more liquid. Look at all the steam coming out of here. So they are just starting to split skins, but we still need them to soften up a little bit. Okay. I'm curious where you are, where your tomatoes are at.
It smells so good.
It does smell good. And like we haven't even put there hasn't been any salt or seasonings or anything like that besides the onion and
basil
garlic.
from over here, the garlic
Right.
from over there. Potatoes.
So if you feel inclined, feel free to start, you can kind of squish them if you feel like this is always so fun to do, but most likely yours still needs a lot more time. So we're gonna put that
I
lid.
think that hers has started to burst.
Okay,
So
good.
if they have started to burst, you'll want to kind of do what Sarah's doing
And
just
smash them with the end of your spoon just against the bottom. And this is like a stress reliever or something.
It's like pour up.
This is so therapeutic. And there's nothing better than using, food grown with love so close to us. So it's always an honor to incorporate local ingredients whenever possible into these classes. So yeah, again, try to just rotate through your tomatoes and see if there's any ones that you can kind of smash down a little bit. We're going to put the lid back on and I want to see a little bit more liquid come out of them before we add some more of the actually salt really helps draw some of the liquid out. So this might be actually a good time to salt our tomatoes. I'm just gonna do a couple pinches. The salt level is something that's really important for tomato sauces. Sometimes it actually takes a little bit more than what you think because it's a really good way of balancing out the all the flavors of the tomatoes, and especially with the sweetness of these cherry tomatoes, which is just so stellar. Level of salt will really bring out that sweetness. Okay, so we're going back in with this and we're gonna go work on finishing our rollatinis. Okay. So, yum, 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 yum. All right. Back to the filling. So again, we put the ricotta with the egg. Let's see, let me find that. We didn't put the garlic because we didn't have any garlic left. Sorry, guys.
But it's in the sauce.
But it's in it, and it's very garlicky in the sauce. We did a half cup of the parm and the basil and a little salt and pepper. Okay. All right, so we might have to move actually along to the salad dressing just because our tomatoes aren't stuffed. Well, we'll need to stuff the rollatinis but we have to have the sauce ready for that. So because we put sauce at the bottom of our rollatinis, so we might move on to our dressing until we're a little bit closer to our sauce. Okay. So we're gonna just let that filling get comfortable. And we're gonna move on to our dressing for our salad. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna need to squeeze some lemons. So 2 full lemons, we're gonna squeeze. We're ideally looking for about a 1/4 cup of fresh lemon juice. So one of the things that Katie Curlo has taught me is like kind of rustle the lemon and roll the lemon on your counter and put a little pressure on there. I've also heard from Elisa DeMarco, who taught last month, that if your lemon is really tough, put it in the microwave for 10 seconds, and that's a chef trick.
I could see that.
So if you,
Ooh, that would smell so good
it
too.
would smell good.
I've never heard that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna just squeeze our lemons into a bowl. Ideally something that's tall and that our immersion blender can fit into. So if you're working with a food processor today, you could just go straight into your food processor with all of this. If you don't have a food processor or immersion blender, that's totally fine. You really don't need one. Yours just might be a little bit thicker with the Parmesan. Okay, so we are just going to squeeze our lemons. We cut them in half. Oh,
I finally just got one of
did
these.
you?
I was
Good.
always using
Yeah. The reamer? Mhm.
yes,
Caesar's the
which
best.
my wrist like can't
Uh-huh.
take
No,
anymore,
I
but
know. So another trick that I do with these squeezers is I rotate them halfway and then
oh, smart.
and then you get all of it. But oh, I just did that. That's okay. I'll get them.
We got some seeds in there. But we have a strainer. We can strain it out.
I got all the seeds in there. That's okay. There are worse things. Thanks, Tracy. All right, so I'm lowering down my sauce a little bit, temperature wise, because I'm seeing a really high boil. So I want more of a medium simmer. Sorry. Oh, no, it's okay. That's great. No, don't be sorry. You're helping me out.
That's one. That's one that got
All right,
me.
I'll try to not do it again. Okay. All righty.
Okay, while we're doing this, can I give a quick shout out to, you
Thanks.
mentioned all of the love that goes into fresh produce, and
Yes.
farmers work really, really hard in all conditions. And I
Oh.
want to give a shout out to all of our staff and our farm manager for just like
Oh,
all of the excellent work and persevering through all the things that come with the growing season. So
ew.
much love to all the
Yes.
Sola farmers and all the other local farmers in the area that grow good food for all of
Shout
us.
out. Oh, man, I know. They are
It
really
is
our
labor,
heroes.
it is labor of love for sure, but man, there are
There are
there's
days,
times.
it's hard, yeah, and every season is different.
That's actually, we have a quarter cup here, so we're probably okay.
Okay,
Sorry. So
Yeah.
1.5 lemons got us to a quarter cup. They were a little bigger, so
Cool.
you might not need all of it.
okay. Okay, so then we are going to add, where's our, we've got our Dijon mustard pre-portioned. We're just gonna spoon that in there into our lemon juice. And Dijon mustard is a secret to so many dressings. It helps, it acts as like a emulsificant, and it really helps kind of thicken up your dressings, and it's so good.
I don't like Dijon. I don't like mustard on anything, but I use it in dressings all the
Yeah.
time.
So
Really good.
I'm just stirring that in a little bit. Okay, and then let's see, lemon juice, Dijon mustard, a quarter cup of Parmesan, which we already grated some, so that's going straight in. And then, okay, and then we're gonna immersion blend it. And then we're gonna slowly add in a third of a cup of olive oil. So my handy dandy immersion blender. And it looks like our sauce is doing really well, that we'll move on to our sauce after this. Okay, so careful your cords. All right, so a little immersion blending or food processing. Another trick with or immersion blenders is tilting the liquid to give you more air. Okay, that should be good. It's super simple.
It's so delicious though with that garlic.
Yes. Did we add any salt yet? No. I think we're gonna do a pinch of salt to this dressing. And then we're gonna add a third of a cup of olive oil.
We actually hit the garlic first.
Oh yeah, right, the garlic. I almost
Star of
forgot
the
you.
show.
Oh my gosh, how could I forget about you? Okay, so this is the funnest thing. So look at this. We're literally just squeezing the bottom root of our garlic head, and look what comes out. Keep an eye out on for any skins, but it looks like it's just cream. It's amazing.
Oh,
And that was fine. That was fine. That was actually
that wasn't the skin. Okay.
that was actually just the crispy part. So there will be caramelized pieces of your garlic that will look like skin, but you'll be able to see that it's like more matte looking. Okay, so good. We're just
Yum.
squeezing that. That's amazing. Is this the first time that anybody's done that before? Where they bake their garlic like this? I'm really
It
curious.
won't be your last.
I know.
No, it's so good.
And so it is a little sticky, so just don't be afraid to use your hands.
I've got a question from Barbara.
Please,
For
Barbara.
Tracy, how do you manage to grow such beautiful basil and kale, keeping the basil from bolting and the kale so pest-free? They're far, far better than any ever grown in my garden.
Aw, that's great to hear.
Aw,
It's,
Barbara.
boy, when we get full sun, I mean, everything in the field, we don't even have shadows cast from trees. It's
Wow.
full sun, lots of airflow is really important for anything that's leafy and green. We also are growing some of these things with plastic mulch. And we are growing a lot of this on drip irrigation. So we're delivering just enough water to the roots. So they're getting just what they need instead of getting inundated with rain. So thank you for the compliment. We are particularly proud of our leafy greens like collard greens and kale and Swiss chard. Those are staples in so many people's diets. And so when you come to us, see us at market, that's a lot of what we're growing right now is greens, and you try year round.
So I just squeezed both heads of garlic. Aw. Oops, sorry. Watch out. Watch your glasses, some of this stuff. Okay, so we put our garlic in. And now we're gonna slowly incorporate our olive oil. When we do it slowly, it really helps with the emulsification. It won't separate. But the fact that we have that creamy garlic and the mustard will make it really easy to come together. Oh my gosh.
It's such a pretty color.
It is.
When we were testing this, we found a similar recipe, close to the one that Sarah had, that said to do a whole cup of olive oil. It's really not necessary. This is a third of a cup and it is plenty.
Yeah. But so many recipes and so many people get so proud about like oil to vinegar ratios and people get into arguments about it and I'm just
Personal
like, not,
preference,
yeah,
flavor.
it is gonna be fine no matter what.
Yeah, it's hard to get it wrong, really.
Yeah, like, okay, look at that. It's beautiful, creamy. We can do one last little stir. And it's like, gosh, you wouldn't even know that there was Parmesan in here, but should we try it? Yeah.
I was hoping you would say that.
Always. And keep an eye out. You might need a little bit more salt or if it's too zingy to you, you might need more Parmesan or a little more oil.
Ooh,
So
the Dijon hits right here. The
Mhm.
lemon. Oh, that's so good.
It is a strong flavor, but it's gonna, be added with the kale and pepper and a little bit more Parmesan on top and the
Yum.
croutons as well, so.
I might actually put another pinch of salt in there. So if you want to join me on that, you can. Okay.
Oh, that garlic's just now coming. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Okay. Alrighty. So
Back to the sauce.
we're back to the sauce. We're gonna crank out these rollatinis. All right. So sauce is looking great.
And smelling great.
Everything's split. So I think this is a sign that now we will put our oregano in. And we will follow it up with our chunk of butter.
This is Sarah's
Chunk
secret. She
of
makes the
butter.
best sauces and
Love
it's the butter.
My other secret, which next time when it's carrot season,
Yeah.
is I do half carrots, half tomatoes.
Oh, that is.
And
good.
it makes it so good. But you saute the diced carrots, or like the minced carrots, with the onions for a really long time until they get soft. And then you add your tomatoes. And oh my gosh, it is like, if you want a sweet sauce without the cherry tomatoes, that is the way to do it. Okay, so we put our butter chunk in, our oregano. We're gonna do, I use up our salt. So we might need a little more salt. So the next step is, Chase, will you mind doing a little bit more basil?
Sure.
So we want a couple more stems of basil,
I think the recipe says a tablespoon
a tablespoon.
that we're gonna add into the sauce. Oh, look at that color. It's so pretty.
Yeah, so it's getting all orange. I'm so excited for how all the smells that are coming out of your kitchen.
Your sauce might look a little different only because, so we had 2 pints of tomatoes that were both bright red. We got a lot that were orange, so I tried to give everybody a mixture. So you have a pretty solid mixture of red and orange cherry tomatoes.
Mhm. This looks amazing. So let's go back to our recipe. So yeah, we added our tomatoes. Where is that? Let me start the timer again. Okay, so basil, oregano, black pepper. We're gonna add, what was that? Black pepper to taste. So actually, I think we can just use the rest of the black pepper, which is like a half a teaspoon. We'll put that in. Traci is chopping up some basil. You're doing so good. That's perfect. So you did like a couple stems worth of
That's probably
basil.
tablespoons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
want
a
all of
little
it?
more than a tablespoon, but that's okay.
Let's go for it.
You can't have too much basil.
Never,
Thanks.
never.
Thanks.
Okay, So we stirred in some basil. You could technically even keep things whole. So this is the modification. So if you have a food processor or blender, you're going to you're going to just pour this hot liquid carefully into your blender or food processor. If you have an immersion blender, we're just going to blend this up until smooth. And if you don't have a blender, don't worry. Maybe just keep mashing it down.
If
Or
you have
use
a
like a
potato masher,
Uh-huh.
that can help just,
Oh,
it'll be a little chunkier, but it'll be.
Yeah. So the next step is we're gonna blend our sauce. And nothing's better. So we're gonna actually turn off the heat because we don't need any more simmering happening while we're blending. And I tilt my sauce to the side.
Beautiful.
And we want it to be pretty smooth and consistent. Oh my goodness. Lovely. Okay. I think that's
it's a
good.
great color.
Yeah, it's so orange and beautiful.
Yeah.
And that butter also helps it make it a little bit more orange. Okay, so our sauce is done. Let's take a taste.
I was just gonna say.
Now is the time to be monitoring the salt level.
Thank you.
It should be exactly how you want it. So add the salt whenever needed. Oh my gosh, yum. I think it's good. So I did add like another couple
That's
pinches
really
of
good.
salt. So feel free to add that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yum.
So now we're going to be moving on to our rollatinis. And basically we're rolling up, we're going to be laying out our eggplant and putting a little scoop of our filling, rolling them up, and actually I feel like I do still get this. Maybe I'll actually give you this back, I'm sorry. So we're gonna need our cutting board to do this and our eggplant. So we're gonna add a little bit of our sauce to the casserole dish, just a little. And you can spoon it, or I just am lazy and we want it to just ideally be coated on the bottom. But don't use too much because we like to have a little on top, and then we can have a little bit for our rolls. Okay, perfect. So
If you find that there's not enough, there should be plenty to save for the rolls, but if not, you can just dip it at the bottom.
oh yeah, at the end,
Yeah.
Okay, so I will show how we do this. So we're gonna take our eggplant slices. We're gonna need a spoon. And we're gonna carefully load you one up here. Okay, so there's really not a measurement for the filling. It's really just how it's gonna fit. So usually just a spoonful will be fine. And we're gonna, sorry, whatever is easiest for seeing it. We're gonna start putting the filling on the end of one, and then just use your hands and just roll it. And ideally you want the seam to be face planting into that sauce so that it doesn't unroll. So here's your rollatinis. So yeah, again, tablespoon and a half. At the very bottom, I can show one more time.
I got Tracy's, but we'll do one.
Okay, so spoonful here. Keep rolling. There we go.
Is this something you can do ahead of time and then bake? Like if
Yeah.
you're having family or friends over,
It's a great idea.
and then
Yeah,
you can clean up the kitchen and then.
Yeah. yeah, that's a great idea.
Love
So,
those
Let's
dishes.
do that.
It looks like we had a little break, that's okay.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
totally
okay.
fine, we're just gonna be cutting into them when we eat anyway, so if it rips apart a little bit, it's all good.
And the egg will actually hold it it probably will still ooze out, but anyway, it'll still look really good.
So depending on, how you cut your eggplant, you might have more than us, less than us, but they'll all
Little
fit.
bites.
Everybody keeping up? Everyone doing all right? We're getting there. We'll be eating soon.
I bet you could do this with tofu too.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Like
You
a
could-
tofu ricotta.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the silken tofu too. I've been really loving that. And if there's some like small guys, they're small. By small guys, I mean small eggplants. I always say guys sometimes. Okay, so you can always stack them like this,
Oh.
to
smart.
elongate them. And
Skinny one.
Just a mini one,
I love it.
bite size.
yeah. No eggplant left behind. Here we go. Look how cute these are. Okay, so then when we're done with the rolling of the ricotta, we will place them in that little baking dish, looking all cute. Look at that. Okay, and then we're gonna spoon a little bit of sauce on.
Are you still working on their eggplants?
That's
We'll show you
okay.
this part, but we can, we'll give it some time.
So we're just gonna spoon in a little bit of sauce on each of them. They look so cute. I love them. And honestly, they're not gonna have to cook very long, so some people would even say that these could, they really just need to cook the little bit of the egg. But that won't take very long at all. Okay, so then we just have to grate a little of our mozzarella, using our box grater. And we'll put a little bit of parm. Actually, am I following the recipe? Let's look.
Fine. We wanna make sure we have enough parm left for the salad, but just like a dusting
sprinkle.
of parm on top, and then the mozzarella will be the rest of the cheese there.
Do you want fine or?
Fine.
I've got a couple, let's see, a little more time, please, still on eggplant, that is all good.
No problem. Take your time.
And we might wanna wait to put these in for a little bit, because we still have a couple things to do with the rolls and the salad and everything. Or we can cook them, because we can't really let them heat if the buns are in there too. So I don't know. We might
Well, the
wanna-
buns will only take one tray, so, we can I would say we can put them in, that way they're just cooked and ready to go. Because time wise, we only have like a half hour left.
We're running a little behind, but we're in the home stretch.
Do you want all of this?
Yes, we're gonna do all of the mozz. Whereas however much you want on top of your.
All of it.
Yeah. Definitely all of it.
And if it's too much to do on that small, you can do the big chunks, because it will melt anyway, so.
Please slow down. All right, so we'll finish ours up, but then we'll take a little break before
Some big, some.
we'll take a little break before we move on.
So what we did was we put a little bit of tomato sauce on the bottom of our casserole dish. Then we found all of our eggplant slices. We used a spoon and we just spooned some of our ricotta mixture onto our slice of eggplant and rolled them up and then set them into the sauced casserole dish. And we just repeated until we were done with the eggplant slices. Then we spooned a little bit of that cherry tomato marinara on top of each of the rollatinis. And then we sprinkled a little bit of Parmesan over each eggplant. And then Traci did a fantastic job grating all of the mozzarella. And we're just gonna follow up with placing the mozz on top.
It's so fun cooking in this classroom and seeing all of the activity out in the store.
I know, it is
We
fun.
just had a little girl that was watching the cooking class through the glass door. It was so fun.
People are always really curious what we're doing in here.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So we're almost done with ours, but we will give everybody a couple minutes to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing would be the basil.
Got more cut up.
Just,
Leeks,
face,
just a garnish.
do we do that at the end or?
Did we? I
think
think you're
we
right.
just-
You're right.
let's do it at
Otherwise
the
they would
end.
burn. Okay, never mind.
All right,
So we're done.
We're
but
gonna put this in
we're
the
gonna give
oven.
everybody, we should probably give them a couple minutes.
well,
Um,
let's check in with people. How is everybody doing?
We had a couple people still rolling eggplants.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna put ours in just so.
still rolling.
Okay, no worries. So it's just 1 scoop of the ricotta mixture and then just roll it on up. Okay, we'll do a little cleanup. Take your time. We'll be moving, once people are ready, we'll be moving on to prepping our dough.
Any ideas on what you can do with extra filling?
Well, we could have just thrown that in there, actually. If you do have extra filling, feel free to, you can throw it into the casserole or
Extra rich bites.
yeah, Everybody doing okay? Sorry we went a little fast on that one. We're just gonna check on our dough. We'll still need a cutting board, so I'm gonna wash one. Uh-huh. Yeah, these rolls are really fun.
Do you need help?
Trace,
with
I'll
it?
have you do a roll because it's really fun to do. So I am washing our cutting boards, which will actually help when we're rolling out our dough. It'll just be a little bit of moisture on the cutting board. So we won't really need to flour anything. But if you at any point are
Anybody still rolling? Do we need a couple more minutes?
yeah, let us know how you're doing. Or where you're at, what step you're at. I'm just gonna take our pizza dough out of our baggie. And I'll wait to hear what you guys, where you guys are at.
Need more time.
Okay.
I went ahead and set a timer for our eggplant, but I'll let you know when that's done and yours might take a little longer.
Yeah, eggplant will probably cook once there's cheese and everything, it'll probably cook for another like 15-20 minutes. But if your eggplant was really, really cooked, like ours were nice and cooked, they weren't foamy or anything or dense. It probably would only take about like 10 minutes just to melt the cheese and cook that egg. Okay. All right.
Oh, this is where the pesto comes in.
This is the Pesto Babka Rolls. So for folks, what you'll need is probably a little paring knife. So I'll get you a paring knife. I'll get me a paring knife. We'll need a cutting board. And we'll need to reuse actually the I might just honestly flip over our parchment paper and we'll put our finished doughs on the same sheet tray that baked our eggplant. Okay, for time's sake, I'm just gonna start on the rolls, I think. Okay, But of course, if there's any questions that come up, or if you're a little behind, let me know. We're happy to walk you through any of those steps, okay? So I have a cutting board, some knives, our little adorable fresh pesto from our bakery and kitchen.
Quick question,
Yeah.
what should we do with the extra ricotta?
Ooh, so you could, if you're feeling up for it, throw it into the casserole dish, like in between. Otherwise you could leave it out. So if it's like a couple tablespoons and you don't want to use it anymore, you can toss it, or you can just spoon it onto the casserole, like in between one of the eggplants, and it will be very tasty, and it won't burn with all of that liquid in there.
You could just, once we make the rolls, you could dip that in there. The bread we gave you for the croutons, there might be a little extra. We gave you a lot of bread, so if you put it in the sauce, it'll be really good. Or in the casserole dish.
Okay, so it just has parm and mozzarella on top. Okay, so we have our dough. Can I just rotate it this way? Oh. Okay, we've got our dough here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make 4 stuffed babka rolls, and really the only difference with these rolls is that we are stuffing them with pesto. So we're basically going to be making like 4 mini pizzas, flatten them out like little pizza, decorate one of the top part of that little mini pizza with pesto. We're going to roll it up into like a little cigar. And then there's a trick where you slice the cigar lengthwise in half and you twist it and then you assemble it together. So I'll show you those steps, but basically it's a stuffed dinner roll, and then we'll pop them in the oven and they'll bake and they'll be so good. And so you can't go wrong with any of these, however it turns out, it will be delicious. So we'll cut our dough. We've got it on a wet cutting board, and I noticed that really is helpful for keeping the dough from sticking. So that would be something I would do, or you could put oil on your fingers. But we're gonna cut these into 4 pieces of dough. Try to make them as even as possible when you cut them. Okay. So we've got our 4 pieces of dough, and look at how fluffy this is. Okay, so now we're gonna basically kind of just stretch the dough without making holes in it. Ideally, kind of like a long rectangle, or even it could be like a pizza, more circular, but mine's looking like it's more rectangle. Okay. All right. Okay, so this long rectangle is really nice, so
Got a question real quick.
yeah.
Do we put mozzarella on the rollatini before putting it in the oven? And should it be in the oven? Yes.
So yeah, you'll just sprinkle some Parmesan and some grated mozzarella on top of the rollatini, and then you'll just place it in the oven. You've put a little bit of sauce on top of the rollatini, both on, and then decorate it with some cheese, and then put it in the oven, and it'll be delicious. Actually, our cheese is looking
Yours is bubbling.
good.
So yes, a layer of sauce, the prepared rollatini, just a little bit of Parmesan, and then the whole block of grated mozzarella.
Yeah. Okay, now for the pizza, this mini, it looks like a mini pizza, but it's like a rectangle pizza. We're gonna scoop a small scoop of pesto, and we're just gonna decorate it, and ideally leave it from reaching the edges. Okay. All right, so it doesn't have to be perfect, just pesto in the middle. Okay. And then we're just going to roll this up lengthwise. So the longer side, we're going to roll it as long as it can go, and just roll it up like a cigar. Okay. My gosh, these are so good.
We're gonna do this again, so if you're a little
Okay.
lost, we'll have a couple more examples.
Okay. So then so we've got this big long snake now where the inside is stuffed with pesto. Okay. And now this is the fun part. All right. So we're going to slice this log or cigar in half lengthwise with a paring knife or a chef's knife to expose that center. But we're not going to cut all the way through the log. We're going to leave a little connected nub at one end. But the rest we're cutting lengthwise down the middle. And so you're kind of seeing this pesto here. Okay. And this is going to get messy. I'm just going to tell you, it gets messy, but it looks so cute in the end. Okay. So we have it almost looks like, yeah. So we're now just going to twist these together. Oops, I'm sorry, buddy. So we're going to twist our ends that we cut together.
Like
And
a
you
little
started up at the top.
Mm-hmm. As much as you can. You can always twist. All right. So we've got this like twisted roll now.
Can we show Tracy's too?
So,
Just here's another example of what we're doing.
so we're just gonna hold the two loose ends and just
Oh,
As-
okay, like twirl it.
as much as you can, just try and twirl and twist it around each other. And when this part isn't twisted, that's okay, because we can just twist it. All right,
Nice.
like that. Good.
Beautiful.
Okay, now we're basically gonna make a knot. So like you're tying a shoe. You're gonna just knot the dough and make another twist. And then just stick the ends to either side. And you have this kind of like pesto wreath now. Okay. So you take both ends and you literally just make a knot. And then you twirl your ends together and then set it on a parchment paper.
We're gonna show you that 2 more times. Thank 2 more pieces of wood.
Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that was gonna get messy and that's just part of it, because, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
If they look a little different, that's okay. They're gonna taste amazing.
And you can wash your hands in between. You don't have to worry about pesto being on the cutting board, but if you want, I wiped my cutting board. Okay, we're gonna do it again. So we're stretching out our pizza dough as thin as we can without puncturing a hole in it. Ideally to like a rectangle or a blob. Mine looks like a ghost. We'll fill the top with pesto and roll it up.
Veronica asked, can we use a rolling pin?
Yeah, you can. I honestly recommend just doing it with your hands because it's so sticky. And you don't really need any flour for this. So if it was me, I would say try it with your hands because they're so small. The rolling pin might stick, or the dough might stick to the rolling pin. But you could, if that makes you more comfortable, definitely. So again, I've coated my pesto on top of my random formed shape of this dough. And I'm gonna just roll this up lengthwise. And this one is a lot shorter than the other one. So I'm gonna stretch it to be about a similar shape. And I'm pinching the ends together and so that no pesto leaks out just yet. And so I'm kind of just stretching it to 7 minutes. Let's take a look at that rollatini.
She's checking on her eggplant. I'll bring you over to Tracy's here. Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Our eggplant is done. Definitely done. What does my timer say? Can you let me-
8:30.
Okay, so it's only been about 12 minutes on the rollatini. Our oven is really fast.
Look at
but ours are
that.
Oh
And ours
my
are like
gosh.
really getting brown, so.
Look how beautiful that is.
We
That
want
is
yours to
gorgeous.
look like that. So you might need a couple more minutes. Our oven is really fast. I will check back in with you guys in about 5 minutes to let you know to check on them. And again,
Beautiful.
and we do still have some time, but they're really hot. So I think that they'll probably still be hot when it's time to eat them.
Yeah.
Or we can pop them back in the oven right at the end.
Mhm.
Eve is asking, do you use the dough right out of the fridge or do you have to let it warm up to room temperature?
You can do either. I mean, it is nicer to have it out of the fridge a little bit, but you can, we've done it both ways.
Okay, one more question. I'm a bit behind. Is it okay if I left the rollatini in the casserole all ready to go, but baked tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Uh-huh.
Or even when we're, when we're done with class, when you're a little bit more cut up and just put it in at the end, it'll be just fine.
Okay, so I made my little rolled cigar and I'm cutting it down the middle, except for this little nub I'm keeping connected, this little nub here. Okay, and then it's messy, but hang in there. It's worth it. Just twist your ends together. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be too tight. Like you can just do a few twists. And then you hold your ends together. You literally knot like you're tying a shoe. And you have these two ends and you just swoosh them onto until you have a little wreath.
Beautiful.
And these little babies will go in the oven.
Those look like they'd be fun to make with kids.
They would. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I know that the Land Connection does a lot of kids kits. Okay, these are going in the oven. We set them on a parchment paper. We just flipped the parchment paper from the side that had the eggplant on it. And let's see, how long did these bake?
We said 20, but it might not take that long. Definitely not in our oven, but we'll keep an eye on them.
You want them to be a little bit golden.
Mhm.
You don't want them to be white. You want them to have a golden and they'll get really puffy. So that's what you're looking for. The golden color will signal that the bread is fully cooked.
So I'm gonna set another timer. And we're gonna finish up our salad and then by the time we're done with that, we'll be ready to go.
Okay. All right. Good job, everybody. You're doing good. All right.
10-minute timer to check.
Okay.
It's been about 15 minutes on your eggplant, so it might be a good idea to take another look.
I'm just gonna watch my cutting board. All right. So what we're doing next is we're making our salad.
Got a question?
Uh-huh.
Can you sprinkle Parmesan or mozzarella on the buns to cook?
Ooh, try it. Whatever you feel.
Just make
That
sure you
sounds-
have some parm for the salad, but otherwise go for it.
Yeah. And we gave you more parm than you'll probably need. So, yeah, go have at it. Let us know what you think. Okay, so we're gonna work on washing our 2 bunches of lacinato. Once they're washed, we're gonna slice them very, very thinly. And then we're gonna massage it with our hands with a little bit of dressing. We're gonna slice up our bell pepper. And then we're gonna toast some croutons. And then we're gonna add enough dressing and make sure it's all looking good, add Parmesan, and then that's the salad. So let me just wash our lacinato, although it looks really well washed already. The trick with this kale is that we're gonna, by massaging, what I mean is we're gonna really massage it. It's gonna, we're gonna work it with our hands once it's all cut. And it will actually go from this matte kind of whiter color to like this darker color. And it will become a lot more flexible and it'll be a little bit more digestible. when you massage your kale, so love that. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm stacking some of our leaves together. And then just like the little babka rolls, I'm rolling them up as much as I can into a log. And then I'm carefully and thinly, as thin as I can go, chopping them all up together. Just as thin as you can, but whatever is comfortable for you. And then when you get to the end where it starts getting really stemmy, you know, I might toss it. But if you like stems, feel free to chop it. They're a little bit too dense for me, so I'm just gonna leave an inch and a half off. Okay, so this is what we've got. Isn't this beautiful? This still looks like natural confetti.
Yeah, it does.
All right, thanks, Trace. You're doing great. So again, stacking our leaves. We love lacinato. It's one of I've noticed it's sweeter than other green kale. And there's nothing like kale after like, it hasn't happened yet, but when the frost hits it, it gets even sweeter. Kind of like almost that sweetness from a broccoli. So we're just gonna be slicing up all of the lacinato, leaving out that bottom like 2 inches of the leaves because it's a little too stemmy. Okay.
Beautiful.
And we're putting it into a big bowl. Ideally, you want a big bowl because we're gonna need to get our hands in there.
You know, my father hates kale. He thinks it's disgusting. And I keep trying to tell him that he's wrong. And I think this would be a good introduction. to kale.
Yes,
Massage kale salad is really the best.
Mm-hmm.
It brings out all the sweetness.
And people love that, you know, Caesar salad. So Caesar dressing usually has like anchovy paste in it. Or sometimes even like a egg yolk. But this is a vegan, or no, it's actually not vegan because it's got parm, but this is like a quicker modification. Okay.
It's definitely a spin on the Caesar salad. You know, Caesar salads don't typically have peppers. We really just wanted to use as much stuff from Sola as we could, and the pepper just makes it more colorful, and it works really well with the dressing and the cheese and the croutons.
Okay, so now we're going to put a little bit of let's see, I want to read this a little bit.
Just a little bit of dressing.
A little bit of dressing. Okay, so not all the dressing, because the dressing is pretty potent. So I'm just gonna do a little bit.
And then we'll add more later. We just want to get a little bit in there to help when we do the massaging.
Yeah, so I probably put in like a 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of dressing. I'm gonna wash my hands because I'm eating with other people.
Okay, so that is the final eggplant timer. So if you haven't checked your eggplant already, go ahead and do it, and I'll give you another glimpse at what ours looks like. So nice and bubbly, golden brown.
This is a good stress reliever.
Oh my gosh, I know. Wow. It's been a hard week. Okay, so literally I put a little bit of dressing in, and I'm literally just, you know, scrunching and tossing and scrunching and tossing and trying to rotate through and squeezing kind of hard. That's okay. You don't have to do like, you know, the full massage techniques, but I'm sure that would work too. But yeah, what we're really looking for is like the squeezing and rotating. And you'll notice that it starts to just look a little bit more like there's more liquid. The color has changed. And lacinato is so preferred because it's one of my favorites. I think it really does well with salads like this. Okay, so that's it.
You gotta show your hands.
Okay, so then I'll wash my hands and we'll just let this kind of soak up the dressing a little bit. Then we'll chop up our pepper.
I'm gonna check on our rolls real quick.
Okay.
Set this phone out, everyone.
Mhm.
Like a spa treatment, Sarah.
I know, this is the kale, kale hydration. So, we're gonna use the whole red pepper and, just take the seeds out however you usually do it. And we're gonna slice it as thin as we were slicing, the kale. So we could do like long, like thin strips. That looks so pretty, yeah. If you're more comfortable doing dicing works great too. But she's just doing thin slices and kind of rotating the pepper as she goes. Look at how beautiful that is. And I'm sorry, I have to steal this to eat.
I always eat the crown, yeah. I've been kind of chuckling to myself because I'm on really good behavior, but in my home kitchen, I'm like constantly like tasting along
yeah.
the way. Yeah.
And that's the best for knowing what your flavors are.
Yeah.
So sorry if the mic is picking up my chomping. I apologize.
Do you want these cut in half so they're or
Yeah,
diced?
why not? Let's do it.
I'll do it like this. Like bite size.
Mm-hmm. So Tracy just sliced things up to being bite-sized pieces, so that works great. Okay, so
There's one more step.
one more step is that we're gonna toast some croutons. So we have our skillet here. We're gonna heat the pan up, put some olive oil on the skillet. And then we will chop up bite-sized pieces of our ciabatta bread.
We gave you a lot of bread. If you want a lot of croutons, go for it, but you probably don't need to use as much as we gave you.
Yeah.
It's your call.
Sometimes we order things just for this class and you're like, you know what? We're feeling like we should just give it all to them. So what we're gonna do is I sliced my ciabatta in half. And we're just going to do like kind of like bite-sized chunks. Something like 1 inch by 1/2 inch. And you can do that however you like.
I'm gonna check on our rolls real quick.
That's
It's only been
beautiful.
10 minutes.
Perfect. And that can just go, your pepper can go right into your kale.
I think these are done.
Yep. Oh, look at that.
Okay. So it's only been 10 minutes. Again, our oven is really fast. So I'll have you guys take a look at your rolls. Ours are nice golden brown, crispy, but yours might need a few more minutes. I'll remind you in a couple more minutes.
What you're looking for is like, you want to see some
Yeah.
spring back when you touch. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. You want to make sure that you have that golden brown, and that's a good sign that they're done.
Wow,
Okay.
those are beautiful.
Look at how pretty. All right. So we're doing, can I give you this little guy?
Those are still real. Yeah.
All right. So we're just chopping up our croutons. We're almost there. I know we're a little on crunch time. I think it's
We're not doing
just
bad.
5 right now.
A little behind, but
Everyone's just hungry.
Yeah, I know. I'm like so excited. This is like the best job ever because I get to cook with you guys, and then we get to build recipes with amazing local food from farms, and nothing's better. So I'm thinking, so if I was to measure this, it'd be about half of the ciabatta that I gave you. I'll just do a little more. Honestly, you can only fit a certain amount of bread into your pan, so that should maybe be your key indicator on how many croutons to make. But nothing is better than croutons. Fresh croutons.
That's sometimes That's sometimes what drives me to eat a salad.
Yeah,
We're
it's
like,
a
oh,
crouton.
croutons,
I
like,
know.
what else can I put
I
in this
know.
salad?
I know. I think that's why people love Caesar salad so much.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna do high heat. We're gonna drizzle. We're actually gonna do kind of a generous drizzle of olive oil. Let me read the recipe just so I'm not failing you. Here we go. Drizzle olive oil, then add torn bread. Let toast for a few minutes until crispy, stirring often. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Is everyone doing all right? Is anyone a little behind? We're just toasting up our croutons.
So I put the rest of our olive oil in there into a hot pan, and some people put like little salt on their croutons. We didn't put that in the recipe, but we can see.
A spatula.
Yeah, I'll take a spatula, thank you. Okay, and we're just gonna use a spatula and keep an eye. It might get a little, things might get a little toasty. That's the point. All right, and down the line, if you ever wanted to make this, with not using the stovetop, you could do this you could just throw them onto a sheet tray and bake them. But we had enough things baking that I thought, and they turn out so well on the stove. So we're gonna let them kind of crisp up, and we'll just turn them when we need to. Okay, so I would love to invite you guys to our next couple classes that we're doing. Next in September, we're going to be putting together a Santa Fe brunch class that will be all featuring local ingredients, and it's taught by Carl Reisman, who's a longtime co-op owner. He was doing cooking classes with us back when we were in the basement of the IDF. And he's making like watermelon juice using local watermelons. He's making homemade tortillas, like with masa arena. He's making like a kind of a roasted veggie medley for the tacos, 2 types of salsas. I'm forgetting some things, but I will send you email with the link to that, but you can also check on our calendar in September, and that's our in-person class. So there's limited seats for that, but super tasty. And then we're also doing a really exciting culinary arts grant class. We'll probably have tickets open, you think like the 1st of September with our newsletter. So check our newsletter on the 1st of September because there'll be a free virtual cooking class and meal kit covered by a grant through the Urbana Arts and Culture program. And we've done this for the last 2 years with Sarisha Bondaru, and she is doing a Indian fusion, Indian cuisine class. So she is getting recipes all from different parts of India, and she's going to teach you all about amazing cuisine from that amazing part of our world. And then also I'd like to invite you, keep an eye out. We're going to be celebrating our 50th anniversary. So we're so excited. We're doing it up. We're doing it really special. We went out to Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery, and they have a new farm to table restaurant out there, Capri. So if you ever need an awesome dinner night with family or friends, go out there on a Wednesday or Thursday because they have such a nice spot. So we're going to be hosting the 50th celebration on Friday, October 11th. You'll get an invite. And I think the first 100 people that register will get a t-shirt. We're going to have music. The Capri, the farm to table restaurant from Prairie Foods, is going to cater it. There'll be cocktails. There'll be potentially walks and visits with the goats, and you'll hear from our staff and our board, and there'll be even like a poetry reading. So there's a lot of things. We're still figuring out a couple of things. There might be a shuttle even to bring people out there. Keep an eye out. We're really excited about that. So I've just been rotating these croutons.
Everybody check your rolls if you haven't. They're probably done.
Okay. If you notice that things are getting a little dry and they're not getting crusty enough, they might need a little bit more heat or a little bit more olive oil. So when in doubt.
We are almost there. The rollatini should be done. The rolls should be done. As soon as we finish with these croutons, we'll toss it in the salad with more Parmesan and more dressing, and then we're done.
So I'm going to increase the heat on these croutons. We want them just a little bit more crispy. And then while we do that, we can start plating. Oh my gosh. It's been so lovely having you guys cook with us. I hope you're doing all right.
Hanging in.
So the one thing we forgot to add to the salad is the remaining Parmesan. So we are getting all of the olive oil, all the Parmesan, all the local ingredients today. You don't need too much when working with such good produce. And you don't even, forgot to even mention it's vegetarian. So we're not even missing the meat. And you and Liz and Tracy are vegetarians, so this is perfect.
You can eat everything.
Yes.
Eat it all.
Yes. Okay, so thank you. All right, so we've got our salad back on. Tracy did a lovely job slicing these peppers. We're gonna add just a little bit leftover of our Parmesan.
Okay.
We can just turn it off. It's probably done.
Getting real
All right.
chunky.
Ours is getting a little too smoky that we called it off. But they're looking good. They've gotten a little bit of crisp on them, and it's okay if they're a little softer. These are a little bit softer, but that's okay. If you were gonna make if you were gonna make the salad or eat the salad tomorrow, what I would say is add the croutons to the parts that you're gonna eat today for the salad, and then keep the croutons separate. So that they don't get soggy overnight when you eat it tomorrow. So we're gonna add another, I think this is like a 1/4 cup of parm. What did we say before? We did a half.
I think we just said the remaining.
Just remaining. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a 1/4.
We're putting it all in.
And then I won't use my hands anymore, but you could. We're just gonna incorporate this, and we're gonna add more. We're gonna add a little bit more of our dressing. So what you could do is just honestly pinch off a little bit and taste what the dressing level is. And it needs a little bit more dressing. So
I
I
think
think-
in mind too, you're gonna add the croutons in, so you want it to be pretty well dressed.
okay, so I'm gonna add almost all of it. Actually, let's just do it.
That kale flavor is really, really good. after
Oh,
the salad.
good.
And you'll see, like what Sarah said, it gets this darker color. It's really pretty.
So we added all the dressing. So we added our pepper, we added just the remaining leftover Parmesan. It was about a 1/4 cup. And then we added the rest of our dressing, and now we're just stirring it up together. And now we can start to incorporate our croutons, and then that's it.
You want all of
So,
them?
yeah. Ta-da! Okay, and just, quick toss, and we're ready to plate. This looks so good.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, so let's make a plate for all of y'all. Thanks so much.
Everybody almost ready? Hopefully.
All right, so what we'll do is beautiful. We'll make a plate for everybody.
I guess I didn't ask. I was just.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna eat.
Oh, yeah.
You can eat with that.
Oh, we're eating. We're eating. Okay, so we've got our kale Caesar salad here. with our croutons. The croutons aren't super crispy, but that's okay. They still have a little olive oil and they're really good. Okay, beautiful. Oh, we each have a babka roll. Oh yeah, go for it. Sure, sure. I was just
No, you are fine.
look at these babka rolls, adorable.
Yeah, they turned out
Um,
really good.
If you have any leftover marinara, I do recommend like a little for the side. So
Or even on top if you want, they go really
let's
well
do a
together.
little on the side here for dipping.
So pretty.
And then you also have some that you could dip from the casserole too.
Yes.
And star of the show, rollatinis.
These turned out so well.
Look how pretty. I want to take a picture of that. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
It is like a lasagna.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you want, you can add, we put a couple, when
Basil
we did a
leaves?
test recipe for this, a couple basil leaves on top. It's just really pretty, but up to you.
Okay.
That's
Do it on the
plate
plate.
tool.
Yeah.
Yum.
They're little guys, but they are so good. And that's about it, you guys. Bon appetit.
Beautiful plate. Yum.
Oh, look at that cheese.
So if you didn't use all the bread that we gave you for your croutons, you could just dip it right in there. That would be delicious.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for coming.
What
We're
a
so glad
beautiful
that we were able to
plate.
cook together. Please enjoy your dinner. I would love it if anybody would take if you're on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, feel free to take a photo and we'll share it on our Instagram or our Facebook. And yeah, we love to show what you all made and how beautiful it turned out. But again, check your rolls if they're not out yet, and we should be good to go. So thanks again so much for taking the time out of your weekend to cook with us. It really means a lot. And yeah, happy
from-
dinner.
From Sola, I want to say thank you very much to Sarah and Liz and the entire co-op for putting together this meal and showcasing what we've been growing for our community and teaching people how to cook and enjoy good food.
Yeah.
So thank you for your support so much.
you.
And all of you, thank you for taking this class, because all of your proceeds are being donated to Sola Gratia for all of their programming, all of their good work. So you're helping our community too. So
Thank you.
you're the
Thank you
best.
all so much, everybody, for the great comments. Hopefully everyone's ready to dig in and eat this delicious meal.
Okay, enjoy.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Have a good weekend. We'll share the recording later tonight, okay? But you guys are the best. Thanks for joining in. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Aw, nice. Awesome. Barbara says, thanks to coming around and Sola Gratia. Thanks for all that you do. See you next time.
Yay.
Take care, you guys.
That's awesome. What a pretty plate.
It's really pretty.
Yeah.